Hi guys, Ashley Kelly here, CrossFit Generation Lesson 4. For this homework, I chose WOD 1, which was 3 rounds for time, 400-meter run, 20 kettlebell swings, 20 to 20 or 25 calories on the rower, 15 toes to bar. Without getting into too much of the math that I've shown over here for time's sake, that gives us a stimulus of about 13 to 18 minutes. When I did the math, I got about 13 and a half minutes for that includes the fatigue and transition time for our higher level athletes. But we also know that some of these movements, specifically things like the toes to bar, as well as the interference of some of these movements, the swings and the row, are definitely going to fatigue some of our intermediate and newer athletes a little bit faster. And also that higher level skill, that gymnastic skill, that toes to bar might be something that our newer athletes or intermediate athletes might have to break up into more than one set. So that kind of gives us that range of 13 to 18 minutes. So taking that and keeping that in mind for our lesson plan and working from outside in, I would take 3 minutes for a very efficient and effective whiteboard briefing. And we want to make sure we have enough time for our cool down here. So about 7 minutes at the end for our cool down. And then adding in, making sure we have at least those 18 minutes for the WOD. That means we have to start our WOD around 35-minute mark. We also want to make sure we have enough time to go to the bathroom and take drinks. Whatever our athletes are going to do anyway, we're going to account for that. So we'll say our potty break starts around that 32-minute mark. So that leaves our 3 to 32 minutes for our warm-up. So I'm going to take those first 7 minutes or so for our general warm-up. If we look at this workout, we know we have a lot of hinging movements, a lot of core activation. So I would do things like good mornings, lying leg raises, roll to V's, glute bridges, talk maybe about a bar hang. We can talk about the active grip for our toes to bar, some Spider-Mans. So that kind of be our general stuff. And then that leaves us a good chunk of time to go through the specific stuff. I would take the first part of the specific warm-up, maybe the first 10 minutes or so, to talk through the 2 skill movements here, which are the kettlebell swing and the toes to bar. So for the first 4 to 5 minutes or so of that, working on our kettlebell swing and the progressions, really honing in on the cues of heels down, squeezing the glutes, and we'd work through a progression. So kettlebell deadlifts, kettlebell half swings, before we go to that full range of motion for our swings. We could talk about bringing that down in an efficient manner. And then the next 4 to 5 minutes working on the toes to bar and toes to bar progressions. So starting with the kip swing, then hanging knee raises before going into that full toes to bar. This would also give us an opportunity to introduce our scaling options, like things like bench pikes or floor pikes for those athletes who can't, for whatever reason, hang on to the bar. So that would be the first part of our specific warm-up. And then after that, I would have them go through 1 to 2 mini rounds of this workout, because we want them to have that we want them to know what it's going to feel like when they're moving through this with a consistent effort. So maybe running 100 meters, we could talk about good running mechanics there, staying on the toes, elbows in, 5 kettlebell swings, 5 calories on the rower, where we can talk about sound rowing mechanics, and then maybe about 5 toes to bar. So going through that 1 to 2 times will allow our athletes to get a taste of what we want them to feel like and how the movements are going to interact with each other. So that's how I came up with my timeline for lesson plan 4.